Hey, guess what? So it's day-oyabunmi. I just wanted to let you know that I recently published my ebook, The Intuitive Tarot Guide, for people new to their tarot journeys. If you're interested in learning the meanings of cards, if you want to know how to read the tarot intuitively, and get a sneak peek into my own personal process for reading cards through a bonus video, hit up my website, daydreamalston.com. Greetings! Welcome to another Messages from Ori. It's day-oyabunmi. Today I'll be channeling messages from the collective consciousness about how to heal the relationship between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Ashe. Before I get started, if you're interested in a reading, a personal tarot reading, if you're interested in learning how to read the tarot intuitively, if you're interested in an Ifa reading, a Orisha reading, Ifa-Orisa related ebooks, online trainings, some other stuff, check out my website, daydreamalston.com/store. Ashe. So today we're focusing on how we can heal the relationship between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. I don't know about you, but in the Black community, in the communities I grew up in, the people I've grown up around, there's been like a distinct separation between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Like there's just been discord between, the sexes. And I know part of it is, some of the practices passed down from generation to generation, particularly those that support like racism and so-called white supremacy. There are certain practices that, took place that really contributed to this separation. But then there's also something deeper, right? Because nothing can happen in the physical unless it happens in the spiritual realms first. So there was, like a crack in the foundation spiritually, and then we began to see the crack here in our physical reality. So I wanted to really figure out what it is that we can do to support the healing process, the healing between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Ashe. So I'm going to be using the African American Tarot, the Language of Flowers deck, and the Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards. Okay? So what does the divine have to say about how we can heal the connection between the divine masculine and the divine feminine? What can we do? There's a need to really review some of with the Hierophant and the Seven of Swords here. Remember I said like certain things have been passed down, certain practices, certain policies have kind of come down through our institutions that have really caused some friction between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. We need to pay attention to that. I don't know if you can see this, but here at this table, we see someone at like a group at a conference table. And the Seven of Swords usually represents some type of betrayal, underhanded, behavior and the like. So there's been something that's been given to us, the divine masculine and feminine, that does not work, that some tradition, some institution, there are things that have been handed to us, right, that are not for our highest good, I'll say. And with this person with this mask on, and then a mask here as well, these are things that are hidden in plain sight. So for the divine masculine and feminine to come together and to receive healing, there's a need to unmask these hidden things, these things that have been passed down, given to us, that have been hidden and shrouded from us. And these are things that are not helpful. Things that are deceptive, practices, thought patterns, even the ways that we date. If you think about this dating practice that we've actually taken from the European dating practice, it does not work. It's not building strong foundations when it comes to marriages for the most part. 50% of people are getting divorced when they do marry. So there's definitely, again, some cracks in the foundation. But these are not even things that are inherent to, people from the diaspora or throughout the diaspora. Those of us who are Africans and of African descent, those practices don't even really fit who we are. There's a need to overcome pain. In this card, I see that there are some situations people had as children that are really blocking them from connecting with people in general, right? Not just the divine feminine or the divine masculine, but there's a trauma around connections from childhood that has put like a barrier between you and others. There's a need to kind of get up and go and like know that you've been through that, acknowledge the trauma, acknowledge the hurt and pain, but heal from it. Release the dead. That's something that's dead. It's all it is now is a memory. You don't have to keep reliving it, but release it so that you may go on. There's a need to make a conscious decision to come together as the divine masculine, divine feminine, and also a need to put in the work, right? Like know that this is going to be a process, kind of like planting seeds and waiting for the crops to come in, and waiting for things to manifest. Like know that it's a journey, but it's a worthy journey. The divine feminine has a lot to offer when it comes to the healing of these connections. There's a divine wisdom that you have access to, divine feminine, that can really support the coming together, the healing of the divine masculine and feminine connection. I always feel like the divine is always going to give us, we always get the extra credit assignments. There's a need to be vulnerable, divine masculine, divine feminine, as we interact with each other. I say that because of her nudeness. There's a need to be open and vulnerable with each other. The more we're guarded, the more we're fighting each other, obviously the less healing there would be. Yeah, there's like a work. There is real, like the divine is like, yo, y'all really got to work at this. Like put in the work to heal the connections. So this is working on self and then working together. Talk therapy can be really helpful for people. Meditation, different practices to really align with the high mind, the high consciousness, to rise above the ego in order to connect with one another. But it takes work. And honestly, I feel like people don't have the attention. They lack the attention to do this type of work, to plant these types of seeds and to focus as much as they need to bring this healing about. Last couple of cards for how the divine masculine and feminine can heal. We can heal the divine masculine feminine connection. Okay, let's see. There's a need to stop seeing each other as enemies. Like the divine masculine is not your enemy. The divine feminine is not your enemy. Even if you've had some fucked up relationships, excuse my language, in the past, right? You need to just realize that this is a part of life. These are not your enemies. We're not each other's enemies. We need to find ways to really enjoy each other. Instead of, going out, it's kind of like, look at these figures, defensive and offensive and ready to fight and crush each other. It's like, no, we need to see each other as friends, not foes. With the Five of Wands here, right? We have the people in the background with the guns. There's a need to support each other. Our connections are sick. That's what the divine is saying. Our connections are sick, and we need to focus on healing them. we can be so adverse and resistant to each other, the divine masculine and the divine feminine, but we need to recognize that we are one, right? And we need to really support each other. So we need to have more fun together, bring lightness and joy to our relations. What else do we need to know about the healing? Divine masculine and feminine connection. There's a need to take charge with authority. So like I said, there's a need to identify what's wrong, right? What the ways we're behaving and the thought processes we have about the divine masculine and divine feminine that are not working. Identify those things and say no more, and then take charge with authority towards our healing, right? That's why these pentacles keep coming up, because there's a need to work at it, to focus, to build on it. Be brave and honest. The divine is telling me with this card that it's not, I don't even think this is an easy thing to acknowledge for us to be to be honest about, like the ways that we show up that have been detrimental to the connection between the divine masculine and divine feminine. We need to be brave, confident, and honest, and really you see how powerful these cards are? Like, those are the only ways, that's the only way, if we step into this energy, that's how we gain our healing. Retreat and recharge. There's a need to step away from, this life we live. To step away, I think we're going to get to a point where we see that the ways we've been living, if, most of us haven't seen it yet, are just not conducive to well-being, to overall well-being. There's a need to retreat and recharge, to step away, to become the hermit, to do that in order to come back together in a healthy space. This is something that we should be doing on the regular anyway, as individuals. If you're in relationship, if you're not in relationship, with a divine spouse, still there's a need to step away, retreat, and recharge and come back into union. But there's a need for solitude, for connection with the divine on one's own, and then a coming together. Let's get some last cards. Words of love. In order to heal the connection between the divine masculine and the divine feminine, there needs to be love, compassion, speak with your heart, really tuning into the heart center, healing your heart chakra, and beginning to trust and love each other again. Like I said, we're not each other's enemy. We got the silence card. Listen more and be quiet. There's a need for the divine masculine and the divine feminine to listen to each other more. But there's also, with this silence card, the need again to step away, to tune in, maybe have meditative practices where we're meditating together and separately. And with the African violet card, it represents spirituality. It's time to connect with what you believe. So our connection to one another is conducive to our connection with the divine. Like, we need to connect with the divine on a higher level, right, in order to connect with each other and heal our connections. Divine masculine, divine feminine, I hope this has been helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.